guys, welcome to Chrissy's Books. I am your girl, Chrissy. Thank you so much for tuning in to my book review. So for this week, I have a lovey-dovey book review for you, and it is The Second You're Single by Cara Tanamachi. So yes, that's the book right there. Believe it or not, y'all, this is the book that got me out of my 1.5 year reading slump. Like, I literally tried to pick up like 10 different books in this year, and like this, I mean, not this year, but like in that reading slump. And I just couldn't get into reading. So I don't know, like I randomly picked this book up and I was like, let's try this. And I ended up like reading the entire thing, which was really shocking for me because I was like, really? This is the book that got me off my reading slump? Like, this book? But yeah, it just got me out of my reading slump, and now I'm reading again. So I actually read this during Valentine's week, actually. Just because, you know, you can see that it's a bit of a rom-com type of book. So I read it in February of this year, and it's August. Oh my God, I'm getting around to the book review in August. Insane. So let's get into what The Second You're Single is all about. So I'm just reading my notes because I can remember everything. So we follow a young woman named Sora Reed, who's always been the odd one out of her family of go-getters, including her Japanese-American mom and her bridezilla sister, who's due to be wed soon. With the wedding coming up, Sora needs to figure out who she's taking to the wedding as her plus one. The one thing that irritates her inertia, I don't even know if I'm saying that word right, I hope I am, is her total dislike for Valentine's Day. Sora has had many heartbreaks, so when her pledge to stay single for February inspires readers to #GoSolo, Sora feels she now has a responsibility to her readers that she must complete. And in walks Jack Man, a muscly baker and an old schoolmate of Sora's. They run into each other at her local grocery store and sparks fly. Sora knows that she needs to shut it down. In her experience, relationships aren't built to last, so why should Jack be any different? Even though he's confounding all her long-held expectations of love. So that is what The Second You're Single is all about. Stay tuned and let's get into my review for this rom-com. So I hope you guys are appreciating my little like, I put a little like mood lighting because, you know, this is a romantic book, you know, and this, I don't know, can you see the red light? I feel like you can see it. I've just put like a little red light ambiance, you know, for y'all. So anyway, the review. So this was a fun read. I guess I kind of just needed a fun and easy book to get me out of my reading slump, and this definitely hit the mark. I actually, like I said, read this during Valentine's week, so it totally fit in with the book. I mean, you can see there's like a box heart chocolate. It's very Valentine-y, and I think it actually came out in that time. Oh no, it came out on January 31st. And I've had this on my bookshelf for like months, by the way, like before that. So yeah, finally got around to reading it. I know this is really silly to mention, but I loved how large the font was in this book. Like it's a big font. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but it's large font, you know, compared to what I'm used to reading. So, and I guess that's why I picked it up, because I was like, oh, I'm just going to whiz right through this, I hope. So this is literally the kind of book that you can read at any time. Like, it's a perfect summer read. Like, you don't have to think when you're reading it. It really does not require much thinking or concentration. And definitely the large font helped. Now, I wouldn't say that it's the most riveting writing that I've read in a book, but sometimes the simplicity of a book is what makes it a good read, you know, because it got me out of my reading slump, you know. So there weren't a ton of characters in this book, which made the book really easy to follow along. And I quite liked the main character, Sora. She was very relatable, and I felt like we've all been Sora at some point in our lives. And she had really awful luck with dating, to the point where she literally almost gave up. I mean, isn't that any woman? Any woman really, and even does a dry February from dating, which I thought was an interesting concept. I mean, who hasn't done that kind of thing? Because Valentine's is all up in your face at that time of year, and if you're single, that's just like, oh, how rude, how rude. So yeah, she was a very relatable character. One of my favorite aspects of this book was the setting, because it was set in a City, Chicago, for the rest of you. And it just really reminded me of my time living in Chicago. I really, really love that city so much. So I really just appreciated the setting of this book, and I could really relate to like that winter, harsh winter of Chicago. She was living right by the lake, same as I was, which I could just picture the whole thing. It was just a really great setting. I enjoyed the setting. And I will say also, the character Jack, the man in this picture, was a great character. You know, he was a good leading male character. And I was also even finding myself like thinking like, hold on a minute, Jack, you cannot be real. First of all, you're tall, you're hunky, you're wearing plaid shirts, and you bake? Like what? And you're nice? No way. This does not exist. So yeah, I was also very doubtful, like Sora was in the book, about this Jack character. So that's all the good stuff that I really liked about this book. Now I have one ginormous, like huge critique about this book that I really disliked when I was reading it, and it's the body shaming. Why are we releasing a book in 2023 that body shames women? Why? Like, I couldn't like that. I thought was really awful, by the way. So I actually found it very shocking that this book somehow made it like past the editors and all those people who are working in the publishing house, and nobody had any comments to make about like how offensive it was to women. Like, I don't know, it just was putting all these like ideas of like how a woman is supposed to like look or achieve to be, but it was weird because it was almost like not doing it obviously, but it was. You know, like they kept sort of like talking about how Sora loves to eat bacon and like, you know, eats food, and it's like, so what? Like, I mean, I like to eat bacon too. Like, I don't really get why that's like a feature. So I just didn't like how in some sections of this book, they really kind of like body shamed Sora, or women in general in this book. And you know when you get up to reading it, if you are a person who is not super skinny and maybe has never, I don't know, you don't even need to be like skinny. I'm just saying it was just like kind of offensive to me. Like one major incident, which I'll talk about, which really just turned me off, like, you know, with the whole body shaming thing while reading this book, was there was a scene, and sorry, spoiler alert, just a little spoiler, I'm not going to tell you about the whole plot or anything, but there was a scene in this book where Sora and her sister, so her sister's getting married, and they're in the bridal suite, you know, trying on like bridesmaids dresses or whatever, and then the assistant lady, you know, the shop lady comes out with Sora's dress and she holds it up, and Sora's like, oh, I don't know if that's even going to fit me, but she thinks it. I don't think she says it out loud. Then she puts on the dress, and I think what I really hated so much is the fact that she was like ashamed. So the dress obviously didn't fit her. It was like really small. I mean, I feel like if I saw a dress and I'm like, that's not going to fit me, like get me another size, why didn't Sora just say that in the first place? Instead of putting on the dress and feeling all ashamed of like the fact that the dress wasn't fitting her, and she was like really trying to pull that zipper up or whatever. It, like, if I put it on and I can feel that it's tight, I literally would just be like, hey, can you get me a next size up, because this is not going to fit my body. Like, I don't really understand what's the big deal about that. Like, why didn't that happen in this book? That's all I'm saying. There was just some parts that I just was like, this is not on. It's 2023, guys. Like, come on. Otherwise, it was a good book. So yeah, that is my disclaimer about my rant that I did not like about this read. With that said, let's get into my rating for The Second You're Single. For The Second You're Single, I gave this book a rating of 6 out of 10. Yes, people, so I thought that this book, it had something. It's got something, a little something, something. It wasn't great, but there's something to take away from this read. And it's two things. One, it was actually an enjoyable book. I did enjoy reading it, but it got the low points because I actually was going to rate it a lot lower than 6. I was going to go like 3, maybe even 2, just because we shouldn't be body shaming women into thinking like there's one particular way to look. You know, like, I don't know, like, I just found some of the scenes in this book really like, ugh, this is gross. So yeah, that kind of took away from some of the points. But overall, I actually did enjoy reading this book, and it got me out of my reading slump. So yeah, 6 out of 10. And if I could describe this book with 4 words, first word is saucy, because y'all, there's some little saucy scenes in this book. That's all I'm gonna say. So she was a little saucy, she was. Second is relatable, because like I said, Sora was actually a relatable character. And yes, I love the fact that she was saying she likes to eat bacon, but I just don't get what the big deal is about that. But she was relatable. Like, I feel like I could know Sora. And I liked like her career style as well. She was a writer, so that was really cool. So yeah, very relatable book. It was also fun. Like, I actually just enjoyed reading it. It was a fun little read to, you know, if you're into reading like romantic books, this was a fun little read. Yeah. And the fourth word is delightful. Just, it was cute. It was delightful. It was, yeah, you know, got the job done. Like I said, not the most riveting writing, but it was good. And just to wrap up this book review, so as I said, with my one disclaimer about the body shaming, if you slide that to the left, I otherwise did enjoy the story. It was a fun and easy book to read, perfect for reading while you're traveling. This is a good book to take on a flight with you. Like, you're gonna read, it's not even that big. Like, you can read this probably in like 3 days. So it's super easy to read, good for a beach, whatever. It got me out of my reading slump, so it might get you out of yours. And this is a good book for like gals who live in the city. You know, Sex and the City fans would love this type of book. It was light, it was breezy, and minus the body shaming. So yeah, just do better, publishing houses. Yeah, otherwise it was good, you know, it was a good book. And for the song pick, I really wanted like an easy, fun, poppy kind of song. Something that felt like quite boppy and just like, this is a pop song. So because it's such a lighthearted read, you know, it's not very complex, and pop songs just make you feel good, you know. So yeah, I chose a song called This Kiss by Carly Rae Jepsen because it's romantic, you know, it's cute, it's a pop song, it's very like, it's got a bop to it. So feel free to watch the video, listen to the song. Yeah, so that's it. That's my book review, guys. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Feel free to comment. Let me know if you read this book. Did you sense the body shaming a little bit in it? Tell me about that. And yeah, have a great week. Thanks so much for watching.